Hi there guys, it's Pip here. Welcome to this part of the confidence course. So today I want to talk to you about commitment. Now there's several reasons I want to talk to you about this. So the first one is when we have low confidence it really affects our commitment. I was doing some thinking about this myself. I have not honestly committed to anything for a long time, and the reason is, the reason I'm aware of this is because of somebody I was listening to, but it's because I'm not sure that success is possible. In fact, I don't even think success is likely. And if that has sparked a light bulb moment in you, and you've gone, oh my gosh, I realise that's just true, then I just want to let you know you're not alone. The thing is, we are all capable of so many things, and I'm quite lucky. I hear that a lot, and you're capable in this, that and the other, but I didn't really believe it, and it's a real a struggling point, because the thing I certainly know with my time is I really don't know what I want to do. Anything in my life, it's always been designed for me, I think. So we've had to go to school, and then you have to go to high school, and then you have to do grades, and you have to go to the lessons, and this and that, and you're always told what to do. You don't really have that much space for life, for designing your life. In fact, nobody teaches us to design our life, and you can end up not committing because you don't need to. Everything's already designed for you, and then we're meant to get a job and this, that and the other, and go to university, and it's difficult to have that commitment when your heart is not really in it. And most of us don't know what we want in life, and this is a huge problem at the moment, especially facing young people. I'm in my sort of late 20s, 26 years old at the time that you're watching this, and to be honest with you, a lot of people my age are really struggling. We're heading towards our 30s now. We haven't found our way. And it's a real tough struggle, because none of us were taught to design our lives. It was just, you go to school, you get good grades, what university are you going to, and then, you're not our responsibility anymore, let's just get you out the door, let's just get rid of you. That was honestly what happened in my school. Maybe that's not the way they meant to put it across, but I did notice that the people who wanted to do something different, the people who maybe didn't want to go the conventional route, the people who wanted to even do apprenticeships, things like that, things that were not majorly different, it's still a force of education and training, they were dropped like a hot cake, really. To be honest with you, it was not great. So commitment, most of us don't know what we want, and if you're not committed in your heart, then it's very difficult to see things long term. And I guess I've learned subconsciously that I don't need to try, just get a job and just clean the house and get some food in, don't worry about it too much. And we end up living this very kind of basic life, and there's nothing wrong with that. I actually prefer a basic life, but unless you know that that's what you want, you can be very unfulfilling. One thing that's fulfilling to one person is not fulfilling to another. We all have very different internal ambitions that we were given. It's not always easy to understand why we're that way. For example, I'm very, very homely. My ambitions are not to travel the world. I really couldn't care less if I don't see the whole world. I really don't care if I don't travel abroad. Whereas, my best friend, one of my best friends, she's got the travel bug, as she calls it. And that's her commitment. She saves up and she goes travelling because she found that that's what makes her happy. That's what brings her a sense of fulfilment. And it's linked to something called flow. And if you've ever heard this, they have done studies into it, and I didn't realise that it's an actual state of being. So what happens is, in flow, your body releases chemicals, releases endorphins, and it's that state of mind where you are 100% in the moment. Time doesn't seem to matter, or it goes very quickly, or it's you're just so zoned into what you were doing that you are just within the rhythm. And they have actually done some scientific studies on this. It is a real thing. I'm sure you've experienced it. But I just want to read you today the definition of commitment. So I've got my good old Collins dictionary here. I think it's a school dictionary, but let's go for it. It says commit, to pledge oneself to a course of action. Now, it also says responsibility that restricts freedom of action. Now, that's a very negative term. I don't like to think about it like that, because that's kind of like saying there's good commitments and bad commitments, and what we want to do is we don't want to be attracted to bad commitments. So, as I say, those are the commitments that we don't find fulfilling. Now, as I say, everybody's different. So you might have kids, for example, and one of your responsibilities might be taking the girls to football practice, for example, and maybe you find that really fulfilling, and that's great, you know, and that's something you want to move towards. Now, if you have a commitment like that you kind of have to do because you don't want to let the girls down, but you don't really enjoy doing it that much, and we take on too many of those, we end up with a life full of commitments that we absolutely hate, and, you know, your life design is just out the window. Now, I'm going to talk about life design a little bit more, possibly later on, and as well, so do stay tuned. But I just want to make you aware of this, and what I want you to do today is just get a piece of paper, write in the middle commitments, and I just want you to make yourself aware of your commitments. Now, just for the benefit of this video whilst you're watching, I'm going to let you know some of mine. So I don't have kids, so that's not one of my commitments. I do have a niece. She's not my commitment. She's really not. And, you know, I don't actually have any obligation to it, even though she's family. To be honest with you, your family you don't really have a commitment to, really, unless they're your children, in which case obviously you do, and your wife, your partner, somebody that you've chosen, you do have a commitment to them. It's funny because my mum's still around, my dad isn't, but I realise that I actually don't have an obligation to her. You know, it's not the child that has the obligation to the parent, it's the parent that has the obligation to the child. Now, obviously, for me, personally, because I have, you know, nobody has a 100% fantastic relationship with their parents, but my relationship is hopefully pretty good. My mum's, she does what she can for us, and she gives us a lot, and I really appreciate that, so I don't, you know, I do want to give back in some way. So what are my other obligations? Money, just to bring in money to the household. I've got a mortgage, so I need to pay that. Money, I have found, is a primary obligation, and a lot of your obligations will be centred around money. Now, here's something I also want to talk to you about. There is a video on YouTube, and it's called The Stranger's Secret by Earl Nightingale. Now, Earl Nightingale was an American gentleman. I think his speech was shot probably in the 1950s, 1960s. Anyway, he's one of the first kind of inspirational, motivational speakers, I guess, or he's been accredited as being that. And he was a salesman, and he was talking about we become what we think about. And in this speech, it's only about 30 minutes long, but really watch it. It's changed my life, and I like listening to it over and over again. But he says that they once did a study of a lot of working men in America, and they found that 19 out of 20 had no idea where to go to work. And even today, in the 21st century, I was listening to Les Brown again. You probably know all about Les Brown by now. I've mentioned him several times. And if you haven't watched some of his stuff already, please go and do that. What I like to do is I like to get out on YouTube, download it and put it on my MP3, and then listen to it in the car or whenever. But he was talking about how, in one of his speeches, the majority of time that people have a heart attack is on Monday morning between 8 and 9 o'clock. People getting ready to go to jobs that they don't like, jobs that are making them sick. And it's insane to think in this day of you know, the most amazing technology that we are still committing to things that we don't like. Technology's moved on. We'll have iPhones and, you know, Facebook and, you know, all this stuff, and we're all connected, but we don't really know what to do with those connections. We've developed technology, but a lot of us have not developed our minds. So we're there on Facebook talking about, oh, you know, I can't wait for my new holiday because my job is not that fulfilling and I need to get away. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, we should concentrate on our minds far more. And so I want you to do that exercise today. As I say, I've realised I actually have very few commitments. Now, please bear in mind that there are, as I say, base commitments, so you do have to, unfortunately guys, we all have to earn money. How boring is that? At least in this society, in this Western culture. Not in all societies actually. For me, I'm not a massive fan of money. I know that sounds crazy, I'm not. I'm just not a financially minded person. You know, a £5 note does not excite me in the slightest. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't. It's handy, you know, because I can exchange it for something else, but it has no intrinsic value apart from to trade off. Whereas some people, they look at, you know, £5 notes and £10 notes and they go into ecstasy as they find it really fulfilling. So everybody's different. So we've all got those base commitments. So you've got a duty of, you don't even have a duty of care to your health. I suggest you do. My health isn't totally amazing, I must be honest with you. We all have a different set of standards for ourselves. But we have those base commitments, so probably health, mortgage or rent, bills, anything that you're maybe subscribed to that's not mandatory, but maybe like me you need things like the internet to do your job or to help people, and maybe you need a car as an, you know, an investment so that you can go to work and bring in more money to pay those bills, to have a bed to sleep on, to buy that food, and to be honest with you, if we look at those base commitments, that's where we need to focus on, because as I say, so many people do things to get by and get those basic means of survival that they just don't find fulfilling, and that's why we don't commit. And it's often very subconscious. You know, you hear people complain about their jobs. Not everybody, there's a lot of people who don't. A lot of people who like their jobs, and I hope you're around those people, but there's a lot of people who don't really. The job's okay, but it doesn't hit them here. It doesn't make them get up and go, I know why I'm alive on this planet. And I think that's what we've got to work towards in the 21st century, when there's just so many distractions, so many opportunities. We've got to make sure that those opportunities are being used correctly. For me, I certainly realise that we live in a very selfish society. We're all on Facebook talking about I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm going on holiday. But we, you know, whereas I think maybe, you know, back in the war maybe, there would be more people who would be going to help their neighbour instead of, you know, if they had Facebook, you know, it might be a different story, but that's what they chose to do with their time instead. I do appreciate they didn't have the technology, but I think it was a different mindset, and I think we need to maybe start going back to that. And it's difficult. We do live in a very dog-eat-dog, selfish world. We're all taught that we need to money, 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 money. And yes, money is important, but I have to make you aware that money in itself will not bring you fulfilment. So we need to work on getting the basics right, and then we need to look at who we truly are. And if you go back to one of the very first videos, talk about who you are, that's very important, because so often we want to portray this image of ourselves that we're not. Like, I'm not massively confident, guys. You know, I'm doing this video. The only thing that I can see at this moment is me on the screen. I can't see all you guys out there. If I was stood on a stage in front of all you guys watching this, it would probably be a very different story. I'm not massively ambitious. I'm not, you know, I don't know, you know, absolutely ravishingly gorgeous or whatever. I make mistakes. I don't always know what to say to people. I'm sometimes very shy. Do a lot of things wrong, let my mindset hold me back, which we all do. Do things that I shouldn't do, don't do things that I should do. So it's, you know, we are who we are, and we've got to first of all get back to who that is, and get back to actually what makes us happy, because as I say, so often we commit to things that don't actually bring us true happiness. So do the exercise. What I want you actually to do is, once you've done that exercise, is use some coloured pens, and just underline in 2 coloured pens. Could be any colour you want in the world, guys. So this is not a test, but just underline, I tell you what, do a mind map, and one side put the commitments that are mandatory, on the other side put the commitments that you want to have, and then put down at the bottom commitments that you have but you don't really want to have. And then what I want you to do is really take a look at that and use 3 different colour pens. So one is things that you want to keep, one is things that you want to change, and the third thing is things that you want to change but can't change, like, as I say, probably a good idea to pay the bills. So yeah, I want you to do that, and I want you to then share one of each of them in the Facebook group. I want you to share that with our group, because as I say, we're all in this together, and I want you to put the title of this video, and then just put what you found out about yourself, really, because it might surprise you that something that you want to say to people I find fulfilling, or you want to make you look good, because most of all we want to make other people look good, like, yeah, I'm committed to this and I'm committed to that and I'm dedicated, and sometimes we just don't. You know, it's like, again, just to give you another example, I often think about starting to go to church, for example, because I believe that in some sort of higher power. It's something that I've resisted for a long time, but I have had a lot of unusual kind of miracles in my life, to be honest with you. I have, but I'm not sure that church, I'm not religious, so I don't think I would actually commit. Now there's nothing to stop me trying that out. If I change my mind, if I wanted to go, you know what, I'll give that a go, and I decided to commit, then that's fine. But you know, we have to be honest with ourselves first. That's really important. So do the exercise, share in the Facebook group, and I will see you in the next video. And as I say, if you haven't already, go and watch some Les Brown, even just 5 minutes. It's just on YouTube. My favourite is, I think it's called Make Today Your Day, something like that. There's lots on there, guys, so do find it. I learn a lot from him. They do say that you are the sum total of the 5 closest your people that you are around. So it's very important to have positivity in your life. Life is tough enough without having extra negativity, without listening to the news and watching about the people who have been killed and murdered and stabbed and all this, the politics, and I know that's real, guys, but I want you to have a balanced overview. Those things are happening, but also at the same time, lots of good things are happening, and we just take them for granted. It's so important that we wake up and we highlight those positive aspects of our day. I always think, you know, when I go to bed at night, about, this is going to sound a bit crazy, but I'm going to let you know about the children in India, thousands of children in India who don't have parents, who were sleeping on the floor that night, and I'm in a bed every single night, and I know that I'm so lucky because of that. But a lot of us don't take time to be grateful. So yes, do the exercise. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to post on Facebook. Take care. Bye.